Professor Simpson, you're a former chief economist at Standard Life. I wondered if you could reflect on the recent furore over Standard Life in the media and whether you think it's been misreported or not.
I think that there is a legitimate concern for life companies and banks who are registered or headquartered in Scotland and most of whose customers are in England. And they would want to be reassured that after independence, the people in both jurisdictions would not be disadvantaged with respect to whatever offers their competing companies could make to them. And that's one of the reasons why the proposal by Merlis and his colleagues is a good one, because it reassures these companies on the score essentially of tax questions and regulatory questions. And so it should make it possible for business as usual to be continued. Now, leaving that aside and coming to the question of the announcement, I must confess that I am slightly suspicious about the timing, not the substance of the concerns, because as I say, there are legitimate concerns. Slightly suspicious about the timing of it, but more importantly, it seems to me that the uncertainty which is being created is something which can really only be resolved by the government in London, not by the government up here, because the government up here put their cards on the table and say, this is what we propose to do, and if this is accepted, then these problems will be resolved. It's up to the government in London, I think, to respond by at least discussing the offer that's on the table, and to the extent that they don't discuss it, to that extent uncertainty is heightened, and that can only be damaging for financial businesses which are registered in Scotland.
So what you're saying is that it was the political statement by the Chancellor that's increasing the uncertainty for businesses?
Well, the fact that he effectively declined. One of the things that's, if you follow the literature and all this, which is fairly boring for everyone who's not an economist, economists tend to like boring stuff, is that you'll remember that the Fiscal Commission produced its report about a year ago, and that was extremely detailed in great depth about all the issues that have been subsequently talked about. Yet neither Mark Carney in his speech in Edinburgh 6 weeks ago, nor George Osborne 2 weeks ago, referred to the report of Merlis, despite the fact that they were addressing exactly the same issues. And in the Treasury document that came along with George Osborne's speech, there's a long bibliography which completely omits any mention of Merlis' proposals. Now that to me is a sign that this is political rather than an economic discussion.
This morning, Crawford Beveridge from the Commission revealed to the committee that the HM Treasury had entered into any discussions with the Commission, despite the Commission's best efforts, and he contrasted that to Bank of England officials who were willing to engage. That would seem to back up what you're saying, that there's a political agenda at work here.
I'm afraid that's very obviously the case.
Okay, you've had